Throughout history, Europe has been the center of pivotal events that defined the world as we know it. From ancient empires to devastating wars, the continent's impact on history is undeniable. Beneath the surface of Europe's rich history lies a fascinating truth. The continent's landscape had a role to play in its people's successes. From rivers that served as highways for trade and conquest, to mountain ranges that provided fortresses, to fertile plains that fed empires, Europe's geography gave it a unique edge. Keep watching to learn about Europe's natural advantages and their impact on history. The Alps and Hannibal's crossing. The Alps are one of the most famous mountain ranges in the world. Stretching across 8 countries and home to the 8th highest mountain in the world, the mountain range is the most prominent geographical feature in south-central Europe. In 218 BCE, they were home to a legendary tactical move that used the landscape to an invading army's advantage. During the Second Punic War, Hannibal of Carthage decided to lead his massive army through the Alps to invade Rome. Because Hannibal couldn't transport his army by sea due to a lack of allied ports and probably some logistical problems with the size of his army, he had to travel by land. With as many as 90,000 infantry soldiers, 12,000 cavalry, and 40 elephants in tow, Hannibal led his army through the Pyrenees, across the Rhine River, and then through the Alps. Those numbers vary across sources and may be slightly exaggerated by some, but the size of his army was truly impressive, especially considering how far he traveled. This could have been a devastating disaster. The terrain of the Alps was challenging, with its rugged cliffs, snow, and ice, and the mountain passes were controlled by fierce tribes that could attack the army from above. The journey was treacherous, to say the least. The Carthaginians held their own against attacks from the tribesmen, forged on through the snow and ice, and eventually reached the route's highest point. By then, the army was exhausted and hopeless. To them, the Alps must have felt endless. According to an account of the journey, Hannibal encouraged his men by saying the rest of the march would be easy going. There were no more hills to climb, so it must have been easier, right? Wrong. The journey down was harder. The descent was steeper than the hike into the mountains, and the men slid and tumbled on the snow and ice. An author named Polybius describes it as indescribable confusion, with men and beasts stumbling and slipping on top of each other. Somehow, the Carthaginians came out on the other side. Hannibal succeeded in his seemingly impossible journey to reach Rome, and from there, they began their attacks on Rome. Eventually, Hannibal and Carthage were defeated, but his fight against Rome was admirable. Long after the empire he fought to preserve has largely faded from memory, Hannibal is remembered for the sheer audacity of his journey through the Alps. The Rhine River and the Roman Empire. Flowing through 6 countries, the Rhine serves as a border between Germany and France. From the Alps to the North Sea, it winds for over 700 miles, and it's been home to many significant historical events and now has several World Heritage Sites along its banks. It also became one of the Roman Empire's most important natural boundaries, serving as both a defensive line and a trade route. The river's width and unpredictable currents made it an efficient barrier against invasions from northern tribes like the Gauls and Germanic peoples. The Romans once saw this river as the outermost border of civilization. To the Romans, those living beyond the Rhine, the Celts and the Germanic tribes, were considered barbaric and uncivilized. During Julius Caesar's conquest of Gaul, Roman legions pushed the borders of the empire's frontier until they hit the Rhine River. After Caesar's victory against the Gauls, the Rhine was the border between Roman territory and Free Germania. Despite Rome's best efforts, the territory along the Rhine was unstable and remained a place of conflict for many years. One pivotal moment in 9 CE demonstrates the conflict the area saw. The Battle of the Teutoburg Forest. Roman legions, led by General Publius Quinctilius Varus, was ambushed by Germanic tribes in the dense forest near the Rhine. Over the course of 4 days, the Germanic leader Arminius destroyed all 3 Roman legions and ultimately prevented Rome from conquering Germania east of the Rhine River. The loss marked the empire's northernmost expansion and highlighted how geography could limit even the most powerful empires. The North European Plain, Charlemagne's empire. Stretching from the Atlantic to the Ural Mountains in Russia, the North European Plain includes parts of the United Kingdom, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, Poland, and the Baltic states. It was also once home to Charlemagne, the Holy Roman Emperor, King of the Franks and King of the Lombards. Under Charlemagne, the North European plain was the heartland of a sprawling empire that revived the concept of a united Europe after the fall of Rome. Charlemagne's ability to consolidate power was partially due to the region's geography. The plains offered vast farmland to support his armies and the many citizens of his empire. Without the abundant resources provided by the fertile plain, his empire may not have grown so vast. Rivers running through the plain, like the Seine and the Danube, acted as highways for transporting troops and goods throughout medieval Europe. While Charlemagne's accomplishments stand on their own, the North European plain supported many empires. Without it, empires like the Holy Roman Empire, which lasted from 962 to 1806, may not have thrived. The area's natural advantages certainly helped support the empire's success, although the impact of its leaders should not be underestimated. It would be oversimplifying the power of the Holy Roman Empire to attribute all its success to geography. It was an incredible empire, and the natural advantages of the plains, which supported it and its citizens, likely contributed to its greatness. Britain and Ireland. Britain and Ireland have a particularly advantageous geography, offering both protection and easy access to the rest of the world. The English Channel served as a natural moat, protecting Britain from continental invasion. At the same time, it used its access to the sea to focus on maritime expansion over centuries. Instead of having to focus on conflict over land, they were able to focus on their navy. Their position, surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, the North Sea, and the English Channel, allowed Britain to become the superpower it was. This advantage is most evident in the age of exploration and Britain's ability to establish colonies on almost every continent. Their navy was powerful, allowing them to develop trade routes and hold their own as the world's most prominent colonial power. By leveraging their natural harbors and proximity to the Atlantic, Britain became the launching point for a global empire that shaped the modern world. The Balkans and Constantinople. There is no universal agreement on what constitutes the Balkans. This region, named after the Balkan Mountains, usually includes Albania, Bulgaria, Croatia, Kosovo, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Romania, Serbia, and Slovenia. Each country is either entirely or partially located within the Balkan Peninsula. Some also include portions of Greece and Turkey within the Balkans. Some people define the region in cultural and historical terms, while others define it geographically. Wherever its borders are drawn, the Balkans have unique geographical characteristics that have significantly impacted history. The region has long been a crossroads of empires, and it was once home to one of the most strategically important cities in history, Constantinople. Now known as Istanbul, Constantinople was the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, which survived long after the fall of the Roman Empire. But how did geography contribute to this incredible city's legacy? It was located on a peninsula between the Sea of Marmara and a natural harbor called the Golden Horn. This location provided easy access to trade routes through the Black Sea and the Mediterranean, and gave it an unparalleled defensive position. In 1453, the Ottoman Empire's conquest of Constantinople marked the end of the Byzantine Empire and the beginning of Ottoman dominance in southeastern Europe. Despite the city's formidable natural defenses, the Ottomans used siege techniques and cannons to breach its walls. They attacked from the land and the sea, pairing advanced cannons with a 55-day siege that cut off supplies to the city. Eventually, the Ottomans took down the walls of the city that had once seemed impregnable. This event proves that despite the natural advantages Constantinople's location offered, its geography also came with weaknesses. Scandinavia's coastline and the Vikings. The coastlines of Scandinavia, marked by deep fjords and archipelagos, helped shape the rise of the Viking Age. These natural harbors provided Viking longships with safe havens and launching points for the many raids and explorations across Europe, from Ireland to the Byzantine Empire. Most of the Viking population in places like Norway stayed inland on the fjords, where they protected their farmland communities. Instead of great roads like those built by Rome, the Vikings traveled almost entirely by sea and fjord. They were seafarers. Although they gained a reputation as brutal warriors, it is essential to remember that the Dark Ages were a brutal time in general. Tribes from all over Europe, not just the Vikings, plundered, killed, and burned villages. For all the Vikings' ferocity in battle, their communities were generally peaceful. At home, they mainly focused on farming, fishing, and boat building. Their iconic Viking longships, alongside the natural advantages of Scandinavia, allowed them to reach as many faraway shores as they did. During the Viking Age, which lasted from approximately 800 to 1050 CE, the Vikings' mastery of the North Sea and the inland waterways allowed them to establish settlements and trade networks far beyond their homeland. Their settlements were scattered throughout the Scandinavian countries and beyond, and they were generally admirable as seafarers and pioneers. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about Europe, its geography, and its history, check out our book, History of Europe, a captivating guide to European history, classical antiquity, the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and early modern Europe. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you found the video captivating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.